No, so I've understood the rationale behind your decision, but I'm curious to know what is the efficacy in the phase 2 and the phase 3 trials which are currently on. What is the kind of efficacy, and why I ask this is because from Moderna, from Pfizer we've seen 90 plus, from AstraZeneca we've seen 70% efficacy being mentioned, and therefore the question will be asked, the second vaccine that's been approved, what is the efficacy? Do we at this moment, Dr. Bhargava, know what is the efficacy of the vaccine that you've approved?
The virus was isolated from at ICMR. The virus was given to Bharat Biotech. They developed the vaccine. We did all the preclinical work in small animals and large animals and challenge studies at NIV Pune, and clearly demonstrated in challenge studies the efficacy of this vaccine. The phase 1 and the phase 2 trial on 375 and 380 subjects have shown tremendous safety and an immunogenicity of about 98%, with none of the patients in these two groups, phase 1, phase 2, getting COVID. Number 3, in terms of the phase 3 trial, 23,000 patients have got the first dose, and their safety is fully established in these 23,000 patients having been given this vaccination, and the whole trial should be completed in the next 3 or 4 days in terms of 25,800 patients, and the approval has been given for clinical under clinical mode, which means that these patients who will be given this vaccine will be closely monitored, and the regulator will look at the data more closely for both for this vaccine as well as for the other vaccine, but it will be monitored very, very closely, and a rolling review will continue to happen. So from that perspective, I think it is a great step that the government has been innovative and proactive, and refinements will continue to happen. And this decision, which is a science-based decision by the Scientific Subject Expert Committee, and then endorsed by the drug controller, I think it's a great moment for Indian science to show its prowess across the world.
There's an interview with Dr. Randeep Guleria, the director of AIIMS. He essentially says that the Bharat Biotech vaccine will be used as a backup in an emergency situation when there's a sudden increase in cases. It is the Serum Institute vaccine that will be used primarily. Can you explain that? So you've got approvals to 2 vaccines. How do you intend to use these 2 vaccines? What role will Covaxin play? What role will Covishield play? In the UK, for example, we're seeing drug regulators toy with mixed use, which means the first dose comes from one vaccine candidate, the second dose comes from another vaccine candidate. Is that something, Dr. Bhargava, that you're considering in India? How will you use the 2 vaccines that you've now given approval to, and in what quantities?
See, I have not given approval. I think the approval has been given by the regulator. The vaccines, I have been instrumental in getting the Bharat Biotech vaccine manufactured and tested, along with the private-public partnership with Bharat Biotech, with the Indian Council of Medical Research. The most important thing is that now we have 2 vaccines available, so there is a tremendous flexibility available for the government. We are worried about the UK strain, and the UK strain has the SC mutation, which is probably not responsive to the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine, and therefore the CEO of Pfizer has said that we will modify the vaccine in the next. We can modify the vaccine in the next 6 weeks if the need be. Similarly, we have this whole virus vaccine, which will be potentially more effective against the UK strain, and therefore this is a shot in the armamentarium of the Indian government to have 2 vaccines available. In terms of mixing doses, the United Kingdom has talked about that. However, the scientific reservations are there to mix different vaccines, because we do not have data on the interchangeability and use of one dose of one vaccine and the second dose of another vaccine. We do not have any data in any country at the moment on interchangeability. So both the vaccines can be stored between 2 to 8 degrees. Both the vaccines are 2-dose vaccines. Both the vaccines have to be given on 0 day and 28 days, and can effectively be given intramuscularly.